Coming up on Survivor TV, are you struggling in your relationship? Well, this episode is for you. I have some amazing couples here who are going to give you their blueprint for making it work. Patti and Freddie Casa and Michele and Nick Prigo, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you guys for joining us to talk about something that's so important. When you're diagnosed with HPV or cervical cancer, talking to the significant other, the spouse, the partner, how do you start that conversation? Michele, when we interviewed you, you gave us this hilarious answer about how, I need to have a conversation, but you also talked about what a rock star Nick was.
Yes.
So how did you take us back? We already showed that on Survivor TV, but let's talk about that again.
So it was really important for me to be able to share it with my husband, not only because it affects, or it could possibly be affecting his health, but also because it's something I was going through and I knew that I would need support and I knew that I could count on him to be supportive. And to be able to share that with him just made the experience that much more, I don't want to say pleasant, but that much more of something that would be easier to get through knowing I had someone to count on.
Which is important.
Yes.
And Nick, what was it like for you?
Well, I think I did what many men might do in my position, and I kind of freaked out for just a moment, and then emotionally, the way I reacted is I kind of went into triage mode right away. I'm like, we need to solve this. The way I handled it was by researching it on the internet, figuring out what CIN3 in Michelle's case meant. How do we respond to that? How do we address this so we can go on with our lives? And I almost didn't think about it in a relationship perspective. I think Michele was scared, how I might react because of the kind of social stigma that's attached to it, which is unfortunate that it is.
And I think that's normal, considering,
But, in my head, I didn't ever even think of it in those ways. And I think when that was the way I reacted, I think it made you feel a little more comfortable at the time.
Yes.
And what about you guys?
Well, he was there when I got my diagnosis. And I consider myself a strong person, but at that particular time, I just went numb. I froze completely, and he took over.
Freddie, what was it like being there when you heard your wife has cancer? What went through your mind?
I just froze. I didn't understand what cervical cancer was, anything like that. And there was disbelief that she could have something as serious as this. So, like Nick, I did my own research to find out what it is, how she got it, or how we're going to defeat it.
But you hear the words cancer, and what I think is so admirable for you, you let her have her own pity party and let her soak it in, panic, whatever. You didn't have time to go into panic mode.
No.
So how did you stay focused on finding out information so that your wife could beat this cancer? And thank God, she did. We're grateful for that. But how did you stay on focus? What is that drives you to stay on focus?
I was focused to get her healthy, to cure this, whatever she had. It just kept me going. Knowing in the back of my mind, I had to fix the problem. I didn't want it to defeat me like it was defeating her.
Right. And I know we're going to have some viewers who are sitting, watching this and thinking, oh, well, they're lucky. They have great spouses. Because, we all know of these horror stories of, women who leave their wives or, boyfriends who are accusatory of, well, you didn't get that from me. Stay away from me now or whatever. What advice would the two men give to other men out there who may be going through something like this and they hear HPV, they read too much on the internet or from not so good websites? What advice would you give them about not jumping the gun to being accusatory?
I didn't even think about that, accusing her of things she'd done in her past or whatever. I just wanted to get her well. That's what pushed me forward.
And what about you, Nick?
I think my first reaction was, I'm sorry, because it could have just been as easily that it came from me. as from somewhere else. And I'm not sure many men would necessarily react that way. I had to think about that for a moment. And I think after that, HPV in particular is interesting because it can be in your body for so long that you can never really know where any of this stuff comes from. So there's nothing to be gained in a relationship by drawing conclusions about its origin and how that impacts and how that it makes a difference in the relationship. So it's almost, to me at least, I would recommend to other men that they just kind of let that stuff go that has nothing to do with this particular disease.
And focus on fighting the disease and becoming more aware and knowledgeable of the disease. Don't focus on whatever negativity, because you don't need that right now. One of the things that I also want to talk about, relationships are filled with so many things. You know, you have so many things that can complicate a relationship. How do you start building the pieces again after a diagnosis?
It's a process. It's a process because you have to reinvent yourself more or less, because after the whole battle is over, you're scared to hurt each other, not physically. You know, you have to like try and error. Yeah. And it takes a lot of patience, but the most important is love, because you are able to give that patience, and you know, you're able to find each other.
Parting thoughts, your last words, Freddie.
Well, we got married for better or for worse. This was the worst part of our marriage. It didn't mean that I was going to walk away from it. I had to fix it, and I took one day at a time. And I think we came a long way.
You're a lucky lady.
Yeah. Oh my God. Be strong. You know, this is not the end. You know, you hit a wall, and you just have to take it one day at a time, and have patience, love, and understanding.
That's good advice. I'd say you have to have patience. You have to accept it to a certain extent, and accept that you're not going to be the same person or couple on the other side. And there's no way I would have known this ahead of time, but in some ways it could actually strengthen a relationship, I think. I mean, we're a pretty good match to start with, I like to think. But we, you know, having survived this and having gone through it, I think it can only have strengthened. We can only count it as strengthening us at this point.
I have to say the biggest takeaway message that from my experience and from our experience with it is that not to focus on where it came from and how you got it, to focus on what you're going to do going forward, because there are numerous opportunities and options available for going forward, but you'll never find the answers if you try to piece together where it came from and how you got there. Like, that information just doesn't exist. So instead of trying to focus on that, just focus on what you're going to do next to put it behind you and just incorporate it into your life.
Thank you all for sharing with us.